All right, welcome to episode 132 of My FX Buddies, the podcast. And I say podcast because there's other ways to watch or listen to this, but also there is the blog, and the blog can be found at myfxbuddies.blogspot.com. All right, so it is Friday night, um, November 15th. This should get uploaded for tonight, but with certain platforms, you never know. But this is going to cover news from the 14th and 15th. Alrighty. So, let me do the rundown. Spotify.com has audio and video, and that's My FX Buddies. Rumble.com, My FX Buddies. RSS.com has a good transcript to follow along or just to read or whatever. Also, I imagine you could, if you have the patience, probably copy and paste that into a language translator. Then it wouldn't be in English. It would actually be in um, another language. I just had an idea. Okay. Anyway, all right. So, I think that's it. Apple Podcast, wherever. Oh my God. Google My FX Buddies, and wherever I am, it will come up. Also, wherever you are enjoying this content, look for an open intro, more something like that button. If you click on that, I apologize for those stupid things on the wall, the alarms. Anyway, click those buttons and a box opens with a link to the blog. All right. So, the title article is "The Census is an Additional Pillar for Economic Reform Plans." I don't think I've ever heard them say anything about the census and the economic reform. So here's Sudani over here, right? This guy, his name is Amiri. He is Iranian backed, and he's in the Iraqi government, right? Anyway, so for some reason he met with him. He met with him at his home. And it was on TV, and they showed him walking on the grounds of his palatial home. But anyway, I'm pointing this out because he met with some other people. Hakeem, I don't care for Hakeem, so I never talk about Hakeem, and one other person. But I wanted to highlight this article because of what it says. Now remember, there's that word pillar again, right? Even though it's being used in a different sense. So if you don't know, they're going to do a census. They're going to count all the people except the area of Article 140. Okay, they are going to count them, but for some reason it's going to take 9 days to count them, those people, and the other areas, the whole state. It seems November 20th and 21st is the census, and the people have to stay home. So it's basically a holiday. But and there have been people all along who thought they couldn't do the RV until they counted the people because the oil monies that are going to be paid, the oil revenue that's going to be paid to them, they'd have to do the census to get rid of the double people, right? The ghost files, as they used to call them. So I don't know, but I find this very interesting. And then there's another phrase here, constitutional entitlement. What is that? I don't recall ever seeing that before either. So I think this is a very good article, very interesting article, but also the fact that we're so close to the census being done, and they have in other articles said it's mostly done. The census is mostly done. You know, they count the kids because they go to school, but not everyone goes to school because school is not free, right? Um, anyone who gets any kind of social payment, they're counted because they've had to open accounts, right? And get the cards and get their fingerprints done. A lot of the people work and um, work either state or private sector. So they've had to get that done. But it's still, I think, only like 50% of the people, of the citizens that are covered in, oh, plus the national ID card. That's another way that they can, count people. So a lot of the counting is done, and they've already gone through and designated who's going to what area. So, like I said, for most of the country, it's only going to take 2 days. Except the area of the Article 140 area, that's going to take 9 days. But whatever, they'll get that done, and that'll be another thing we can check off the list that either it's holding it up or it's not. So that it's a quick, I'm just going to go through this article and one other one that I'm really encouraged about. Then the others will just skip up, I'll just do the headlines or whatever. So, Sudani met with al-Amiri, where during the meeting they discussed all service and national files and ways to proceed with implementing the government program, which is Sudani's government program, especially after completing the constitutional entitlement and choosing the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Also, Amiri was present when they voted for the House Speaker. So there's something special about him. I'm not sure what, but he added that the two sides discussed the upcoming entitlements again, most notably the general population census and the importance of its success. What? My battery's about to die. Shoot. Okay, I think I got it. All right, I got it. Um, the two sides discussed the upcoming entitlements, most notably the general population census, and the importance of its success to be an added pillar to the development and economic reform plans, in addition to reviewing the regional and international situations in light of the continued aggression. I'm glad I caught myself. Aggression on Pizza Land and Lebanon, and international efforts to stop the aggressive, what is that, conflict, right? And escalation. So, and again, this is a short little article, which in my history of reading these articles, it's usually these short ones that when you read right now, it just seems like a short little article. But later on, we come to find that it had a big impact. So I'm hoping that will be the case. Oops. With this also. Oh, and I wanted to say, see if you can catch the super moon. We had the last super moon of 2024, but sometimes the day after or the night after, it's still pretty bright and pretty. All right, so let's go. They're still talking about this development pathway. Oh, yeah. And I wanted to show you something else. I'm not going to read this article because you know how I feel about this. It's a project. As a matter of fact, I think in this article they break it all the way out to 2050. But let's see. Here's a new partner. It's a Singapore-based Pacific International Lines. I'll say that again. Pacific International Lines is launching a new weekly feeder service between Jebel, whatever, somewhere in the UAE, and Qasr in Iraq, with the aim of strengthening its coverage and connectivity in the Middle East. So, Singapore is a very rich part of Asia, and they're jumping in, kind of like a little tester, like an intro, right? So I thought that was interesting timing for that. All right, so we'll go back over here. So yeah, so here's another article, but what's interesting, this is out of Iranian news. You see that? So now they went in on the development path. So if you care to read that, you can. So here we got our date, kind of, for resuming sessions. Parliament presidency set today, Friday, the date for resuming sessions next week after the census. Yeah, so see here, the 20th and 21st is when they'll do the census, and then sometime after that, they'll start Parliament sessions. So that's 2 weeks away, basically, right? 15 and 7. 15 and 5 is 20, 22nd. Yeah. So 6 days, 6 more days where they'll be not having sessions. All right. So here's another article about them. This time it's Sudani and Amiri discussing ways to proceed with implementing the government program. So that's some other stuff. All right, Sudani issues directive regarding Shell Company. So that's interesting. And it's again another one. Now I know this is written from Iraq's point of view, but he's directing, right? It's not Shell going to him and saying, look, this is what we want to do. And I think it even uses the word partner in here and cooperation. Yeah, see, cooperation is right there. Yeah, so that's an interesting article if you want to read that. Parliamentary committee, the government will fail. This is just one of those things. And this guy was interviewed. So here he is saying, you know what? Maybe we should put the price of oil at $40. But it's just another site for people who like to read those articles. That one's there. This is interesting. New mechanisms for direct trade transfers between Iraq and Turkey. And I feel like we talked about this already, but they put these out again. So it's Thursday, right? He went back, Alialak went back to Turkey. And so they had already asked for more banks to be opened, right? And now this is specifically talking about the new direct mechanisms of trade, which is what? They go through not the U.S. Treasury and the Federal Reserve anymore. They go through the designated banks that are being audited by K2 and Ernst & Young and the other one that has a weird name. All right. So, yeah, so if you want to read those, I did manage to put both of those together. All right. Will Iraq be the savior of the countries of the region if oil prices fall? So this is Safwan Kwase, again talking about oil and a little bit about the reserves. Now this is the other article that I want to focus on, and you should come here and read it also. The oil and gas law returns to the forefront. will Sudani be able to resolve the disputes over it? So remember, he went to Kurdistan. He spent the whole day at Kurdistan talking to all the different ruling families, the Barzanis, the Talibanis, and then some other guy that I don't know who he is. And then there was 9. Remember, they put the bullet points out of the 9 meetings that he had. So there was lots and lots and lots of discussion about this. Okay, so talk returns about the oil and gas bill that has been absent for 2 decades due to political differences, despite the fact that it represents the only solution to all the problems of the center and the region. All right, so we'll go down. Now, this is a weird color, but here the law has been in place since 2008 and was sent. Well, actually, right here he says it's undergone 11 amendments and has never reached Parliament. But then he says the law has been in place since 2008 and was sent to the House of Representatives to regulate the financial and oil matters of the producing provinces. So, which is it? It was never to Parliament, or it did make it to Parliament. Who knows? All right, so there's that. Recent dialogues got them to there were 9 points of tension, I guess. They got 9 down to 7. Dialogues are still ongoing between the federal government, which is Baghdad, and the region, which is Kurdistan. So here, Iraq's oil and gas law, which has been awaiting legislation since 2005, stipulates the responsibility for managing the country's oil fields should be vested in a national oil company overseen by a federal council specializing in this matter. And then remember, they said within 60 days, they're going to have a designated council or something specifically to audit the amount of oil that the Kurds report, right? Remember that? So I think that came of his meeting, and here it is in this article. This right here, this will be the last part that I'll read. I know some of you, this is very boring, but this is important, I feel, to this, which could be a holdup for all we know, right? So the Kurdistan oil law, so I'm reading this part right here. The Kurdistan oil law stipulates that the Ministry of Oil in the region, or whoever it authorizes, shall assume responsibility for organizing and supervising oil operations as well as activities related to them, including marketing oil, as well as negotiating and concluding agreements and implementing all licenses, including oil contracts concluded by the regional government. The Iraqi government also has the right to participate in the management of fields discovered before 2005, but fields discovered after that are subject to the regional government. So before 2005, Baghdad, right, the Iraqi government is Baghdad. They get a say of that. But after that, Kurdistan gets basically control of those. And then this other part here, concluding oil contracts, it's kind of leaking out that the Kurds sell oil to Israel, but they've been doing it for years. And that is a part of the problem. They don't, especially right now at this time, but they've been doing it for years. But since there's so much animosity, for lack of a better word, towards ice cream land, now all of a sudden it's a problem, right? And that's part of it. It is part of Baghdad didn't trust the Kurds that they were reporting the right amounts. And then the Kurds didn't trust Baghdad that they're paying the right amounts. which is why they need that intermediary group that should be up and running. That's probably already up and running within 60 days. All right, so there's a little bit more, but we're going to skip that. But that is a great article that I feel you should read. And as always, all the articles on the blog are there for free. You don't even have to put in your email. All right, here's a little bit more about the gas law starting from 2025. Iraqi minister links Kurdistan oil exports to enacting this law. So hopefully they'll get the law done, and in 2025 the rate will be changed, and then they can go ahead with the HCL, right? All right, let's see. The Swiss ambassador expresses his country's desire to invest in Iraq. All right, let's see. Here they announced on Friday, Ramadan Bank did, a plan to include other branches in the implementation of the comprehensive banking system. And I had told someone, I guess they got tired of announcing every two that they do. So now they're just like, we're going to bring in a whole bunch of other branches. Oh, look, I have this article here twice. All right. That means I probably put the other ones. No, okay, here for all those people who love Maliki. Maliki's return to power. Shiite, I'm not cussing. Shiite political parties are trying to ignite conflict among themselves. So, I just put that there because it's unbelievable, right? That he could possibly be prime minister again. So hopefully we won't be here to see the process unfold. But yeah. So here's some nice articles. Oh, sorry. I'm not gonna say nice. Interesting articles about the T-Man, the new president-elect. Here, a Chinese refinery changes its oil policy towards Iran after our election, right? So sorry, Iran, it's been good, but we'll be back in 4 years. And it even says this is a rare step. It comes as a result of what was described as a change in circumstances. All right. I just think it's not funny, ironic. I don't know. I need to find a synonym for ironic. But that's why I laugh, because he's not even in office yet, and already people are freaking out, right? But whatever. Oh, but also it is important because the more we squeeze Iran, the more Iran could possibly squeeze Iraq. So there is a practical reason to watch that relationship, but all right. And so here's a story, and not of a lovely lady. Musk met with, well, here, I'll just read you the title. Then if you want to read the article, you could go to the blog. Held in secret location and lasting over an hour, Elon Musk meets with Iran's ambassador to the UN. Now, I know there's probably a lot of people upset about that. But yeah, so isn't that interesting? And then this article came out later. Tehran gave Washington a written pledge not to attempt to assassinate Trump. Think they could have had anything? Those two meetings could have had anything to do with each other? I don't know. That's why I need a different word for ironic, right? Okay, so I think we're almost done. I try to keep these 30 minutes, but I did want to show you Iraq played Jordan in soccer. or whatever. Look at this graphic they made. So Iraq's soccer team or football team is called the Lions. So it's really, it's a really big deal over there. And so these are real people in the crowd. But this image, I'm not sure. It was like in commercials and ads for the game. But isn't that funny? I think that's funny and creative and probably done with AI, right? So yeah. And I think they lost. They either lost or it was a tie or whatever. I'm not familiar with soccer that much, but they didn't win. Okay, so now these two articles here. Yeah, so these are the last two articles that I have. They're about MasterCard. And it's a little scary to me because it's this tap thing, which I know tap has been around, but they want to, it says MasterCard collaborates with tap payments on first global launch of click to pay with payment passkey service for e-commerce. All right. So if you are someone who follows how close we are to being chipped, right? That's what eventually they want one world money and then we'll just all be chipped. Well, those of us who are here, right? But anyway, they're doing this through the Middle East and North Africa. See that? Middle East and North Africa. And it's gonna spread fast because, well, there's something in here about biometrics. They have to give their biometrics. Here we go. So enabling, and not only that, it's a device-based biometric authentic methods such as fingerprints or facial scans. And see, to the Iraqis, that's nothing. They're doing that already and they have no choice. They have to give all their fingerprints and they scan their eyes. I know, I'm not sure if it's the whole face, but I do know they scan their eyes. But then they want to tie it to a device. So that limits you to one device, your biometric information, and that's just, I'm just a little uncomfortable with that. So, and that's the future of how they want everyone to pay with things, right? And China's been doing that for I think a decade. So, okay. And see, even here you have to put your email address, something. They're just getting pinpointing more and more to you, right? You tied to your money, tied to a device. And that's just uncomfortable. But also, look at this. MasterCard joins payment system Buna, whatever, to boost MENA transfers. So that if you don't know what that Buna payment system is, you could look it up. But it's a settlement system so far for Arab, mostly Arab. However, I think we are. I think we're on that network. They just don't use it with the dollar. But it's mostly for Arab countries to move money between each other. And now MasterCard has joined it. Global payments technology provider MasterCard. So I just put that there for those of you who may be interested in things like that, because I know some of you that listen to me elsewhere, you are interested in stuff like that. All right, so that's it. That wraps up. I'm sorry, that thing has been quiet all day. And as soon as I get up here to record, it starts beeping. That's all right, devil. I will move on. Okay, So, the there's lots of expectations for this weekend. Not for me, right? But so that's why I wanted to do this now, just in case there is some good news. Then I would post tomorrow on Saturday as well. But that I really wanted to get that oil article out and the article about the census being part of the economic reforms. I find it very interesting. They're moving right along, doing things. Sudani definitely, more than any other prime minister that I have watched, sets dates and keeps those dates. So I really feel strongly they will do the census on the 20th and the 21st, and I'll be here to report that. So thank you for listening or watching, whichever one you're doing. I appreciate it. I hope this helps. That's why I do this, to help people see there's things, really good things happening. So accumulate while we wait for the rate to appreciate. Don't miss any meals and pay all your bills. Wherever you are enjoying this content, if there's a like, follow, subscribe, join button, something of that nature, click that, because I don't update regularly. But if all things work like it's supposed to, when I do update, if you activate that action, when I update, you'll be notified. All right. So if I don't post this weekend, enjoy your weekend. Um, Enjoy the rest of your morning, night, noon, whatever time frame you're enjoying this content. And until next time.